Give it another 2 minutes for any other latecomers. So for those of you in person, thank you for being here. I appreciate seeing all the pairs, candidate and adult pairs. For everybody in Zoom, remember the expectation is that you be working in pairs. If you're on Zoom right now, you also should have another window on your computer up that will allow you to access the handouts as well as the other things we'll be talking about. So I will share my screen over here. This is the video we're going to watch.
We want to know what this is all about.
So for all of you at home on Zoom, if you come to our website, standrewrcc.org, this is what our website looks like. If you go across the menus across the top or on the little hamburger in the mobile version, you'll see CF Online. CF is my abbreviation for confirmation. If you go to CF Gatherings, the second menu item down, and click on it, you'll see the top item then is today, Sunday, January 17th. You need to come to this particular web address for 2 reasons. First, and most importantly, if you're in the Zoom and you're gathered with us, you want credit for that. You want me to know that you were here, and the way that I record that is by you completing the digital turn-in. So if you click on this link, digital turn-in, it is a Google form version of the paper that these fine folks in the pew have in front of them. So you need to open this up so that when we get to the discussion time, you are making notes here in the Google form, which you then submit after you have completed it. Please follow along and do that with us. That is how you get credit. Secondly, all the handouts that I will reference during this particular gathering are here in digital form. So if you want to see the physical copy version of the turn-in that the fine folks here in person have, you can see exactly what it looks like, what they're filling out with pencil, and what you're going to fill out in the Google form. But they're identical. I literally copy and paste from this document into the Google form. Likewise, there's another copy of the calendar, another copy of the paperwork packet, okay? And as well as these search discussion guidelines, we're going to talk about those in just a couple of minutes. So everybody on Zoom, you should have this website up next to your Zoom window so that you can bounce back and forth and participate fully. If I am at all laggy, if you can't hear me very well, if your internet is a little weak, then you might want to consider pulling up the formed.org window and logging in for yourself to watch the video on your end. I am going to share the screen of the formed video, and hopefully all goes well and you can watch along with us. But if that doesn't work because of internet restrictions, then you can leave the Zoom, watch the video, and then come back into the Zoom as soon as the video is done. All right, we'll talk about that more in just a minute. Are there any questions from my Zoomers? One of my kids at school, they all have the hybrid now, and so my middle schooler came home and said one of her teachers has nicknamed them the Zoomies and the Roomies. So you're the Roomies and you're the Zoomies. So that's how that's going to go. All right, any questions over here? Otherwise, let's go ahead and get started. All right, thank you all for being here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to pray. We're going to pray. Now, because, two more people in the waiting room, I'll admit them, that's good. Now, because this is video-based and I have set up this giant projection screen on the sanctuary, it might be easy to forget that behind the screen over there is Jesus in our brand new tabernacle. So if you folks who are here have not taken a look, as soon as we're done with our gathering, do sneak around to the side and go check it out, because the new tabernacle's here and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But we are reminded that the tabernacle is where Jesus is. And so whether you are at home on Zoom, where 2 or 3 are gathered, even technologically in his name, he is present, or whether you're here with me in the physical, real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, Jesus is with us as we gather. So let us remember that and pray together this day. Now, the prayer that I'm going to offer is the daily gospel meditation from an app called Hallow, Hallow. Did I introduce that to you at all in either one of our gatherings? I don't know if I did, but the Hallow app is a wonderful Catholic app that's filled with hundreds of audio meditations of different kinds. So there are daily examines, there are Lectio Divinas, there are guest speakers, there are stories. One of the things they do is they offer a meditation, an opportunity to spend time with every day's gospel, the daily gospel. And today we're going to do the prayer for today's gospel, the second Sunday in Ordinary Time. So,
welcome to your daily prayer with Hallow. Find a comfortable, alert position.
Yeah.
Let's begin with a few deep breaths. Continue to breathe deeply. Recollect your heart and mind. Acknowledge your hopes for this time of prayer. Share them with God. Let's pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. As we begin, simply listen to the Word of God. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. The 2 disciples heard what John said and followed Jesus. Jesus turned and saw them following him and said to them, "What are you looking for?" They said to him, "Rabbi, where are you staying?" He said to them, "Come, and you will see." Spend some time now with what stood out to you from the passage. Use whatever stood out from the passage to start a conversation with God. Let him lead you. yourself. Let go of any effort. Just rest with God. As our time comes to a close, thank God for being with us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. We look forward to praying with you again soon. Let peace be with you.
Right. That was the 5-minute version. All the apps, all the meditations, or at least many of the meditations on Hallow offer both 5, 10, 15, 20-minute versions of the same prayer. So depending on how much time you have, how much time you want to spend, you can choose those different options. It's a wonderful app. It's called Hallow, Hallow, available for both Apple and Android devices. There was a question about the forms, how to get to the forms. You just go to our website, go to St. Andrew's website, standrewrcc.org, or just Google it up, and then go under CF Gatherings, and it'll be right at the top of that page. So in the menus, go to CF Gatherings, and it'll be right at the top of that page. So I just wanted to do 2 things as an introduction, and then we're going to dive into the search, all right, our video series. The first thing that I want to do is just make a reminder about paperwork. I'm trying to get the paperwork out of the way up front so we don't have to worry about it again and can just enjoy the formation, the process, the discussions that hopefully will arise out of this video series. With that in mind, I want at least communication about your paperwork, if not the actual paperwork itself, by January 31st. If I don't hear from you and you don't turn anything in, then I will be in touch with you about maybe next year for confirmation. All right, so January 31, give me paperwork and communication about how you're working on paperwork. Some of the paperwork is ridiculously easy. All you need is your height, and then you circle a robe size. That's it. That's the whole paperwork. All right, so you can at least get me that, right? And then your saint name. Remember the rules about saint names, and then sponsors. And a letter of eligibility from your sponsor's parish, okay? One person after the Zoom asked me, should our sponsors attend these meetings? Yes, if they can, absolutely. If you can be here in person, but they live in another country, another part of the country, well, there's Zoom. They could join in Zoom, and the 2 of you could, text on the phone, or maybe get on the phone and chat on the phone while we're having pair conversation time. I'd be cool with that. The sponsor's role is to witness to faith, and what a beautiful way to witness than to participate with you in your preparation for this sacrament. So if your sponsor can participate, absolutely do it, all right? There was another question. My sponsor is a member of St. Andrew's Church. He is my older brother and has been to college for a while, but he meets the requirements and most know him at the Spanish Mass. Also, we have the sponsor form. Where should we send them? So there's 2 possibilities. If you're talking about an older sibling that's at college, there's 2 possibilities. Number 1, if they regularly attend a parish where they go to college, if they've registered there, then have the sponsor form filled out there. If, on the other hand, they're doing Newman Club, it's not real, or they go to multiple parishes during the school year, but their home base really is St. Andrew's. If they've turned 18 and are in college, they need to separate their registration from the family and get their own registration here at St. Andrew's, all right? If you let me know that that is the situation, we'll work with you, and I'll make sure that there's no problems about, participation records or a new registration at St. Andrew's, that kind of thing. I will be happy to work with you on that, all right? Those were the only questions that were left in the turn-in from the Zooms, all right? Are there any other questions before I move on? Zoomers, feel free to unmute and ask a question. Anybody here? Go ahead. Any other questions? Going once.
Yeah, I have a question.
Shoot.
To which email do we have to send like if we want to send the paperwork through email, which is the email?
Yes, good question. That is my email, which would be J Harrington, JHARRINGTON at standrewrcc.org. It is all over the website, all over our parish website. But J Harrington at standrewrcc.org.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you, David. Anybody else? Any other questions? Going once, going twice? Okay, moving right along. Then we're moving into our curriculum, our content for this, the first part of your preparation for confirmation, and that is the search. On your pews, for those of you who are here with me, and in the handout links on CF Gathering's webpage on St. Andrew's website for you Zoomers, there is a handout called the discussion guidelines, the search discussion guidelines. I just want to highlight that handout and just point to a couple of pieces. All right. The first part, the introduction, I'll let you guys read. Format, you know. Expectations. While participation in the pair conversation is required, and what I mean by pair conversation is the idea is that this journey you're on toward the Sacrament of Confirmation be done in pairs, two people, right? Two people. So the candidate and an adult, either sponsor or parent, whoever can attend and participate in these gatherings, right? So as a pair, participation in pair conversation is required. Sharing with the whole group will not be, although will certainly be encouraged, all right? So I'm not going to force anybody to share anything with the whole group, but I hopefully at some point, some of you will be prompted to do so. We ask that you share a good deal of your pair conversation in writing or in typing, Zoomers, and the turn-in, either the paper one in person or the digital one if participating virtually. Credit for attending the session, we talked about that, blah, blah, blah. If you turn in a sheet without anything real or personal on it, if you just scribble whatever kind of a thing, then I'll be getting in touch with you about whether or not you're actually participating and actually want to receive the sacrament and that sort of thing. All right, know that anything that you turn in to me is kept confidential. I'm the only one who reads it. Now, you'll also notice on the turn-in itself, it says, share a bit of your conversation. You don't need to transcribe the whole thing, please. All right, we don't need novels. I just need summaries, Cliff Notes version. All right, share with me the highlights, the high points, the things that stuck out with you or stuck with you. All right, so make sure that you're just sharing some real things, but not necessarily everything. And the final thing I wanted to point out, before we start, let's establish an important ground rule for how we engage in discussion. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. In other words, let's practice active listening and really try to understand the point of view of the person sharing, especially if we don't agree. Refrain from interrupting or correcting one another or speaking too long when you're given the chance. These guidelines apply both in pair conversation and in larger group sharing. The idea behind this whole process, the idea behind using this series, the idea of using this format is that you come into it with an open mind and an open heart, willing to share. If you're not willing to share with your adult, with your youth candidate, or with me, or with the group, if you're never willing to share, if you're just shut down, that's not participating, that's not going to do anything, that's really just a waste of time, everybody's time, all right? Just about everybody, except for one person who I'm following up with, when I asked in our first gathering in November, my first question for all of you was, why are you here? Do you want to be here? And all of you said yes, except one, and I'm following up with him. But wanting to be here and saying yes means that you're willing to have real conversation, to share yourself. That goes for both the youth and the adults, okay? So let's not waste each other's time. Let's have good conversation. Are there any questions about any of that before we switch to the video? All right, I'm only 3 minutes behind schedule. That's really good for me. Okay, anybody else? Anything else? Anything from Zoom? Any questions? All right, now, folks in Zoom, I'm going to share my screen and share the video. If it works for you, if all internet connections are solid and you can watch the video with a good experience, then just stick with us and stay there. If it's laggy, if it kind of skips and jumps, if the audio is kind of terrible, drop out of the Zoom, watch the video unformed yourself, because I showed you how to log in and get your own Zoom account in our previous formed account in our previous Zooms. Do that, and then as soon as the video is over, come back into the Zoom room. All right? And also, please do stay muted while the video is running. So, come back over here. That, so we're going to full screen that. Play, and I think everything will be ready. Zoomers, please don't draw on the screen. That shows a lack of maturity. Whoever drew the red line on the
Life
screen,
is totally
erase it.
amazing. You are on the ultimate journey right now. It's called your life. You know, from the moment you crash land into this planet, we're searching for something. We're searching for meaning, for answers, for love. We want to know what this is all about. You know, something we too often take for granted, just getting to be here, to breathe right now, to experience. I mean, we look at those mountaintop experiences of life, like that's what it's all about, you know, riding that wave, falling in love.
Better louder or softer?
But just getting to be is riding the ultimate wave. Every breath we take, just experiencing the air all around us right now, it's really kind of mind-blowing. But I tell you, it is a journey. You're going somewhere. You ever stop to think, you know, where am I going? Where's this journey taking me? What's all this about? What am I looking for from this life? So often we forget to search for answers to those questions that we need to actually be happy, to search for the ultimate answers to those fundamental questions about the meaning of life, about who you are, about what happens when you die, about what really makes life meaningful. That's what the search is all about. See, that deepest longing of our hearts for something more, for something better, for a life that's amazing, that longing has an answer. So, what do you seek? You are going to die. What a horrible way to start this whole thing. I mean, you can't avoid that. No one gets out alive. And if you've ever walked through a cemetery, you see these rows and rows of tombstones. Everybody who ever lived has that in common. You know, no matter how important that person was, everybody ends up 6 feet under it with a slab of granite on top of them. And each of those pieces of granite, each of those tombstones, has a start date and an end date. We all have a start date and we all have a finite ending, and that's a sobering thing to remember. I mean, you have a certain number of breaths that you get to breathe. You just used about 2 of them. And then you're out, right? But the part we often overlook It's really the most important part of that tombstone. It's that little thing between those two dates, the dash. That's your life. You're in your dash right now. So what do you want from your life? What are you looking for from that dash? What's all this about? More and more people, I think, live their entire lives just distracted by passing things and never even pause to ask that question. What is this all about? What do I want out of life? What am I looking for? Maybe it's power. You want to be the boss. You don't want to spend your life working for other people's dreams. You want other people to work for yours. Maybe it's money. Man, a lot of people think that if they have money, then they'll be happy. If you have a nice mansion, if you have the right car, if you have enough zeros in your bank account, maybe it's to be really fit. You know, if you want some sense of personal achievement, what easier, better, clearer way to get that than chiseling your body? Or maybe it's that next adrenaline rush. You want to feel alive. Or maybe you want pleasure. That'll get you what you're really looking for, right? Or maybe you just want to make a difference. You want your accomplishments to be noticed, because that'll be the sign that you really matter. Am I getting close? Have I left something out? We're all looking for something. Not that there's anything wrong with money or skydiving. Not that there's anything wrong with more noble dreams, like I want to provide for a good family. You know, getting all that stuff, that's fine, but I gotta tell you, underneath all those other things we look for in life, there's a more fundamental longing. You and me and everybody who ever lived, what if we're all kind of looking for the same thing? We all have basically the same stuff between our ears, basically the same spirit, right? We're part of the same species. We're all looking for that something. Human beings, all of us, we want to be happy. And I gotta tell you, if you want money, it's because you think it'll make you happy. If you want to make an impact in the world, it's because you think it'll make you happy. If you want a good marriage, it's because you think that marriage will give you the happiness and that sense of purpose and meaning and fulfillment that you've always been looking for. I mean, Aristotle talked about happiness as the end of every action, as the thing that we're made for. The Dalai Lama said that we 7 billion human beings, emotionally, mentally, physically, we're all the same. Everyone wants a joyful life. Blaise Pascal had a profound reflection on happiness. He said, all men seek happiness. This is without exception. Whatever different means they employ, they all tend to this end. The cause of some going to war and others avoiding it. It's the same desire in both, attended to with different views. This is the motive of every action of every man, even those who hang themselves. We all want to be happy. There was a Harvard study done over the course of 80 years. This is an unprecedented study of hundreds of people. And it wanted to gauge how they turned out in life and what made them healthy and successful in life. And the headline that summed up the study said that good genes are nice, but joy is better. And they actually found that the person's sense of happiness and contentedness at the age of 50 was a better predictor than cholesterol for how healthy and happy they'd be when they were 80. Happiness is what we're all looking for. It actually even makes you healthier. So where are you going to find it? Where are you looking to get your happiness?
Guess what would taste good right now to everyone in the car? Candy.
Hey, just look around. The whole world is promising you happiness everywhere you look.
Get the item that adds to your personal comfort.
If you buy this, if you do that, if you hit this goal, then you'll be happy.
Notice how your neighbors look with admiration as you drive out. Take the keys. and see what driving pleasure really is.
So take my word for it, it satisfies.
So we're all looking for happiness, but the problem is, what is it? So often we dream too small, and we confuse passing pleasures with that fundamental happiness that we're made for. I mean, really, how much happiness do you want? How long do you want to be happy for? A couple minutes, a day, a year? I mean, ask your heart. How much happiness does it want?
If you pick up any psychology textbook, in it you're going to find the social sciences have been studying this for a long time. My name is Jim Owens. I'm a counselor working in private practice. I've spent most of my professional time counseling working with people in addictions. I think we all have to recognize that we have appetites in this life. And some of those appetites we get met pretty easily. We're hungry, we eat, we're satisfied. We're thirsty, we drink, we're satisfied. We want to achieve something, we accomplish something, and now we're satisfied. But we also have this sense that all the eating and the drinking and the productivity in the world might not satisfy us completely. We're hungry for something, we have an appetite for something in our very core of our being that just nothing on this world can satisfy. We all know what it's like to have a great meal or have a great conversation. And those things feel good, but of course the experience fades away. How many medals do we have to collect? How many trophies do we have to collect? How many meals do we have to collect where we then feel full somehow? And we hunger for that experience to last, to persist, to really, if we could have it our way, to go on for eternity. I mean, if we really want to get serious with this question, I think we have to ask ourselves, if you could be happy forever, would you turn that down?
In the depths of our souls, there's a growling. There's this gaping sense that there's something more I'm looking for to fill it. And I'll tell you, you could fill your soul with everything this world could possibly give you, and it's still looking for something more. That makes no sense at all, unless there's something more out there to fill it. Or you know what? That would be the cruelest joke ever, the cruelest joke the universe has ever played on us. If you had that longing and there was no final answer to it. When we don't direct that longing, when we don't stop and ask, what do you seek to your own heart? What's it made for? What's it made to be filled by? We can end up destroying our lives. I mean, how many people destroyed their lives because they're restless? This woman didn't satisfy me. I'm moving on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And I leave a trail of broken families behind me. This drug didn't satisfy me. I'll try the next one. This amount of money isn't doing it for me. So I'll do this, that, or the other dishonest thing to get whatever it takes to fill this heart, and it's still not enough.
In the United States, 20 to 25% of us are walking around every day suffering inside a mental illness, typically anxiety or depression. It's 18% of us, almost 1 out of 5, who have pervasive level of anxiety that we live with every day. On the outside, it looks like we're a really happy society, but inside, I think you'll be surprised to see that people are very deeply struggling.
You have people with beautiful mansions and fancy cars and full bank accounts who are suffering, struggling with this very difficult question of, why do I have all these things and yet I'm still not happy?
We live in a world where the pace is so frantic that you literally can go for weeks, months, sometimes years at a time without ever stopping to even think about, am I happy? Am I really fulfilled? And life just becomes this endless, meaningless pursuit of trying to get ahead and trying to get the next thing and trying to stay on top of all of, the spinning plates that I've got going on in my life.
I'll be happy when I get the degree, when I get the wife, when I get the career, when I get the accolades. I'll be happy when. This starts to get related to a concept we have in psychology called destination addiction. And we're so bad at putting off happiness. We think we're going to get it someday when we get this one thing in our life that we don't currently have. Maybe the first mission in life as an adult is to find the meaning and purpose in your life, because you will not find happiness unless you know what the meaning and purpose of your life is. You've got to know why you're here, what you're made for, and what you're supposed to be doing with your life.
In the NBA's great pool of talent, no trait is more respected than hustle. It's a burning desire to be first at everything and exceed one's own limitations. Hustle can even compensate for a height disadvantage or a lack of quickness. By giving 110% on every play, hustle has made Bill Henslick the best he can be.
I was just the Wisconsin farm boy. There were a lot of great players. I had to figure out a way where I could play. I became a defensive player.
Johnson over Hensley, can't connect, foul on Magic Johnson.
I wanted to play. I wanted to be on that court. I was fortunate enough to have a chance to try out for the '80 Olympic team, and I was one of the last players to make it. Because of that, my draft prospect vaulted from maybe being a third or fourth round pick to the first round by the Seattle Supersonics.
Hensley with a steal.
When I got done playing as a player after 3 back operations, Denver started searching for a head coach. I got a call.
Well, to me, this is a special head coaching job because I want to be here. I like Colorado, and I feel I'm ready. I'm ready and I'm excited. So without further ado, I'll just answer some questions and we can get to work.
As the season starts off, we're all set to move forward, knowing that this year I was going to coach. The first year was going to be extremely difficult. We weren't going to win a lot of games. Our best player, one free agent we signed, tears his ACL. He's done for the season. We had other players that got hurt. It got even worse. I was playing sometimes 5 rookies. You don't win in the NBA with 5 rookies. We start off the season, I think we go 0-10. One stretch, we lost 23 straight. It looked like we may have the worst record ever in the NBA. This is brutal. It was so tough on my family, on me, the media pounding on you. That was the toughest year of my life. I'm praying to God every day, God, what is your plan for me? I was fired. I was called into the GM's office. I walk out with a box, just a box of my stuff. I'm thinking, what am I going to do now? My life had been about basketball. I loved the sport. And then that rug got pulled out from underneath me. God had a different plan. I started a foundation with my best friend, and our mission is about preparing kids for the game of life. 1998, we started our complex. It's 14 acres. By 2003, everything had culminated into opening our Gold Crown Fieldhouse. We took it from an organization that we were serving maybe 150, 300 kids to suddenly now, today, almost 18,000 kids we serve. You know, oftentimes in life, you look back and what if I got another contract extension? What if I made more money? What if I had won a championship? All those things, yeah, that would have been really cool. But would it have fulfilled me? At that time, I thought, well, yeah, maybe that would have fulfilled me. But now, doing what I'm doing, it's been incredible. The reason why you're here is to search for that meaning. When you can search for that meaning in your life, that's when you're going to find true happiness.
Everybody arrives at that place in life at one point or another where they come face to face with that big question. What's the point of it all? Is there a point of it all? And maybe at that point in time, you look at religion and think, I've been there, done that, it's got nothing for me. Maybe because religion's been presented to you in a way that just turns you off. The fastest growing religious group in the Western world is the nuns, people who don't identify with any particular religion. In the United States, nuns recently surpassed Roman Catholics. And the younger you get, the more and more people you see identifying as nuns. You know what else we're finding? More and more people are unhappy. Among Generation Z, they're arguably, according to all studies, the most anxious, most depressed, most despairing generation in history, where so many people are just trying to find a sense of purpose and meaning to life, and they're coming up empty. There could be all sorts of valid reasons that people are looking at religion and saying, that's got nothing for me. and decide to look for happiness in all sorts of other places. But I'll tell you, it's not working. What if we're throwing away religion because of what we think it is, or how it's been presented to us in the wrong way, rather than what's really there? And what if in the process, we're just throwing away the answer to every question of the human heart? It seems like we're just overlooking the answer right in the palm of our hands. It's been there all along. You know, everywhere you look, people are throwing answers to you. Answers to those fundamental questions of your longing heart. You find self-help programs everywhere. Guys, this journey, this is not self-help. You know, one of the ways that self-help programs come up short is that they tell you to be happy, but not why. We're going to address the fundamental answers to those fundamental questions about the meaning of life, why you should be hopeful, where you're going to find the love that you're made for. Guys, this is going to help you in a way that you could never help yourself. Jesus' first words to humanity in the Gospel of John, kind of striking. He turned to two people who were following him, and he said, "What do you seek? What are you looking for?" He knew the answer. I want happiness. I want joy. In the depths of our souls, there's a growling. There's this gaping sense that there's something more I'm looking for to fill it. What is all this about? Not just Christianity, not just the church. What is human existence all about? We need firm answers to those questions, good answers to those questions, to live a good life, a life with meaning. We need those answers for happiness. It's time to invite the world right now to get back to the search that makes life amazing. Every dream you've ever had for an amazing life, every hope you've ever had for happiness, every longing for that love that would fill your soul, it's got an answer. Don't be one of those people who goes through life never even asking the question, never taking a step, never taking the journey. Don't go through life just existing. The journey starts today, right now. So, what do you seek?
Test. There it is. Okay. There we go. All right. Welcome back, everybody. So what I'd like you to do now is take the discussion sheet, the turn-in, as it were. And if you're at home on Zoom, now is the time to click on that Google Forms link that is on the CF Gatherings page to open up that Google form that has the questions. For those of you here, grab pencil or pen. If you want a pencil, I've got sanitized ones up here. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to talk as a pair conversation. All right, so candidate and adult or adults, spend 10 minutes of conversation going through. I've given you 5 prompts, either a quote from the video or an idea presented by the video. 5 prompts. What I'd like you to do is just read each prompt and react to it. And what I mean by that is written at the top of the form. So if you're wondering what does he mean by react to it, it's on the top of the form so that you can read and get some ideas about what the idea is. So 10 minutes of that, and then we'll come back and have broader conversation. So this is the part where we're supposed to be talking to each other. This is not the part where the candidate fills in the answers while the adult watches them do it. Don't do that. Discuss it together. Talk to each other. And after you've done some talking, then jot down a note or two on the sheet of paper. This is not homework. This is just, you're going to give me a window into your conversation. I don't need a complete answer. I don't need grammar and spelling. I just need to know a little bit about what you talked about. But the talking is the most important part. All right, so have conversation with each other. If anybody has questions for me, feel free to ask, either on the Zoom or here in person. I'm going to give everybody a 2-minute warning. In 2 minutes, we'll switch to opening the conversation wider.
Oh.
I finished.
Now, if you've only talked about 1 or 2 of the prompts, that's okay. If you're having good conversation, that's more important than covering everything. All right? So just write some good notes about what you discussed. That's more important. Don't feel like, again, this is not homework. This is an invitation to conversation. You can always finish the rest of the prompts later if you'd like. Hopefully you would like. But for your turn in, you can type some nice notes about what you discussed. If you want to hit the rest of them rapid fire style, now would be your time. All right, so I'm going to have to do what I never like doing, which is interrupt conversation, hopefully good conversation. Again, be at peace. If you did not do every prompt, that's okay. So just a couple of things before I invite sharing. The first is for my in-person folks. You're so quiet. Tiny whispers. I don't know how much of that is you want to keep your conversation private. So the next time we have pair conversation time, if you guys want to spread out, you're most welcome to do that. This is a giant space that we have. Go find a corner where you can talk and laugh and, without having to worry about disturbing anybody else. Go do that. All right. So that's the first lesson that I learned today. Second is I hope that everybody is getting a sense of the idea that this video series, The Search, it's not heavy on theology or like teaching a lot of curriculum. It's really an invitation to slow down and ask questions and to consider ourselves, our life, our purpose and our meaning, and how things relate to that. So with that in mind, what I'm going to ask everyone to do, because I will share with everybody, somebody texted me a picture of their completed form, like barely as the video was ending. The idea behind this is not to get it done as fast as possible, okay? The idea is I'm less concerned about completion of the work and more concerned about the quality of the time. And it seems to me in our productivity obsessed culture that the idea of what this next 10 minutes are about is about good conversation as opposed to getting something done might be a little unusual, might be a little countercultural, it might be a little even uncomfortable just to say, let's talk about some deep things for 10 minutes together. That's okay. But that's what I'm inviting you into surrendering. I'm inviting you to surrender to, let's spend 25 minutes and just watch the video. Let's spend the next 10 minutes just talking together, the pair of us, about as much as we get through. Then let's spend another 10 minutes as a big group sharing things that we learned or that sparked interest or curiosity or excitement or questions. And it can feel weird. I get that. But that's what I'm inviting us all to surrender to. a time of conversation, a time of openness, a time of sharing, a time not obsessed with getting stuff done. Okay? So that's kind of the idea. All right, so would anybody like to share? I'll just throw it open at first, and then if I need to, I'll get more specific. But I'll just throw it open. Anybody want to share anything about any of these? Anybody have a particular response, reaction, powerful insight or idea? What did you guys think about the first video? Go ahead. You know what I forgot? I apologize. The Zoomies can't hear you unless you're through the microphone. So here you go.
Hello. No, I just said I feel it feels sad watching the video and kind of realize, even though we read a lot and we do a lot of that, but realizing that more and more of us are actually becoming anxious, depressed. So, we're pursuing happiness, but we're not know what we are pursuing, and then throwing religion because religion is not talking to people as we are hoping would be. How formalized it is, and a lot of the young kids, they just don't hear. I mean, we're not talking to them. So that's one of the things that
stuck with you. Yeah, absolutely. I totally appreciate you saying that. So many of our young people we don't spend the time talking to them. And that's one of the reasons why I designed this way this year, was to give adults a chance to talk with these teens, and for these teens to talk with an adult about important stuff that aren't about grades, that isn't about career choice or counseling, that isn't about, the productivity stuff, but is just about life and feelings and happiness and meaning and importance. I will share that I have 4 children myself. One of them was just confirmed last year. He's a sophomore in high school. One of them was, and then I have a middle schooler and 2 elementary schoolers. And one of the 4 of them is currently seeing a counselor for anxiety. Now the pandemic has something to do with that, but the way we relate to that has everything to do. And in terms of the question of what is the meaning and purpose of our life, as most of you are aware through my communications, my dad just died like a month and a week ago. And that has thrown me into some serious self-reflection over the fact that I actually just a few days ago, I turned 47. And I'm pretty certain that I am past the halfway mark of my life. I don't know that I'm gonna make it into my upper 90s. And so with that in mind, now I'm like, okay, so more days behind me than in front of me. What am I doing with the rest of them? It goes back to the beginning of that video with the dash. How am I spending the rest of my dash? Anybody else want to just share anything? Not anything. Here in person or on the Zoom? Yeah. Oh, for the benefit of our Zoomers.
Yeah, I think that is the question. It's a big question. What is the purpose of our life? It is such a big question that most of us fail at it. And I think that's important for kids to know. How do you do that?
How do you identify it? How do you find it? How do you, yeah, okay. Good. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I just think that the video was clear that sometimes people have this fake happiness, I think it is that we want to achieve so much, like they say, the car, the big house, all this what supposedly make us happy, and at the end, it does not fulfill us. So it's just a question asking, even myself, sometimes you wake up, it's a rush, go here, do that. A day has gone by that I don't even realize what I did, and sometimes we forget to think about it, really was what is important, and I think we all may be guilty of that. And maybe that video, to be honest, it opened up even my mind to maybe think about more what I really want and what is really truly for meaning, happiness, not for me, for them. And unfortunately, I think technology is very good today, but I think we have lost the personal contact a lot. And that I think has to do with technology. So maybe we should go back to basics sometimes.
It is, yeah. Technology is a double-edged sword. It's a tool, and every tool can be used for good or used for ill, right? I think it's a good thing that we have this amazing technology that allows us to have the folks on the Zoom. Oh, I'm glad that lasted as long as it did. My projector screen just died. But I think it's a good thing that we have the technology to allow the Zoom to be there. I think it's good that we have the microphones so we can all hear each other. I think it's good that we are able to connect with our sponsors who might be in a different part of the country. I think at the same time, I completely agree that I think a couple of my kids need to be reined in a little bit more, that they spend so much time on a screen cut off from me and the rest of us and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's absolutely. Anybody else? Anything else? Otherwise, I'll bring up one of the. Any one of the prompts confuse or raise more questions than answers? Prompt discussion about what the heck does that mean? Anybody on Zoom, feel free to chime in as well. Zoomers are all on mute. How about that statement, what if we are throwing away religion because of what we think it is? Did everybody kind of get the idea behind that statement? What if we're throwing it away because of what we think it is? Because most people have an idea about religion that, when they share it with me, is very different from my understanding and idea of what religion is and is about, right? That goes specifically to that idea of the rise of the nuns, N-O-N-E, like nun, like what's your religious affiliation? None. That's in Catholic circles, we're calling that the rise of the nuns. And this video series is very much a direct answer to the rise of the nuns. This video series is an opportunity for us to sort of reconnect with why we are not a nun, why we do hold ourselves to a particular faith tradition, why if we were given a survey and there would be a bunch of religions, we wouldn't check the nun box, but we would check the Catholic box. This video series is like a reaffirmation of why that is the case. And hopefully, by exploring these questions, all of you candidates and all of us adults who journey with you will deepen our appreciation for, affirmation of, holding tight to the idea of Catholicism, so that when you stand up and say, I profess, when the bishop says, do you profess your faith? Do you reject Satan? I do. Do you believe in God the Father? I do. Do you believe in Jesus Christ? I do. It means something to you, and something real, not just something conceptual or theological, but something real, something in your life. So I hope that the conversations that you have during this journey that we're just starting, that they get to your regular life, that they don't just all stay conceptual, but you talk about what do some of these questions mean about your best friend who you're in a Discord server with, or your friend that you see at the locker who is clearly struggling and wrestling with something, or what does this mean on a Tuesday afternoon on a sports field, or on on a home connect class, or whatever, right? What does it mean for you adults with your coworkers, within your family life? And how does this challenge you or impact you or change you in the way you're relating as family, as coworker, as adult, as friend, as parent, as sponsor? That's the idea. All right, so I think that was a first good go. A good first go. Well, that's what I meant to say. I think that was a good first go. So in, let's Let's see, when's our next one? Normally I can just say in 2 weeks, but I think there's an extra Sunday in January. 1, 2. Yeah, so in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, because we're on a first and third Sunday of the month rhythm. First and third Sunday of the month. So in 3 weeks, on February 7th will be our next gathering, just like this, okay? Hopefully we'll have a lot more of the in-person folks who were supposed to be here will be here. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all on the Zoom for being here with me. If you have any questions, I'll keep the Zoom running for a little bit longer. If you have any individual questions for me, but otherwise, I'll see you again in 3 weeks. Why don't we end with just a brief prayer of intercession, asking our Blessed Mother Mary to pray for us, since the Mother of God, the Queen Mother in heaven, obviously has the most powerful prayers. We ask her to pray for us. So let's pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And one thing before we break, I love it when the Holy Spirit is sneaky and has a great sense of humor. Today's gospel, I don't know if you noticed, from the Hallow prayer to then the video series, What Do You Seek? That was today's Sunday gospel. I did not do that on purpose. That was totally the Holy Spirit. I love it when he's sneaky and fun. So thank you so much. I'll see you in 3 weeks. Thank you guys on Zoom. Bye-bye. Remember to click submit. Turn in your Google Forms.